Hi, it's Jarazan Jovan, and welcome to another edition of Black Enterprises Inside the Studio. Today, we have the pleasure of going inside the new documentary, Darrin's Dance Grooves, the untold story of Darrin Henson. Premiering on All Black on April 20th, the film tells the story of the man behind the popular dance routines that electrified audiences throughout the 90s and early 2000s. From street dancer to world renowned choreographer and actor, join me in giving a warm welcome to the one and only Darrin Henson. Thank you for being here. I first just want to start off by saying I am a former teeny bopper. So
Aren't
you
we
just got,
all?
yeah, we all are. Yes, I literally like about 2 weeks ago had my husband watching a video of NSYNC performing "Bye Bye Bye." Like they was just doing it, and I was like doing the moves, and just to know that you created that whole moment without even really being there in that moment, but you were there. You was on the behind the making of the videos and in some of the videos, and now we're gonna get to see your story told in the Darrin's Dance Grooves, Darrin Henson documentary.
Yeah. The Darren Dance Group's Untold Darrin Henson Story. Yeah.
So, how do you feel? How did you feel watching it? Because I know you've already seen it. How did you feel watching it?
It's never finished in my mind because there's so much um, of my story that hasn't been told. It's nail biting. It's also a regeneration of the feelings of what I felt when I was working on all of the projects. So it's very, very palpable from that perspective, and it's heartwarming, and it's also heart wrenching because of the times and what was going on at that time, and
Mhm.
how I was seemingly working to prove to myself that I could create some of the world's greatest and most celebrated dance steps.
Mhm. How did the idea of the documentary come about, and how did you know like now was the time?
It was just time. It was 22 years later, after Darren's Dance Grooves, the actual DVD was born, but Darren's Dance Grooves was born in 1997. I started that company in 1997. It was actually a dance convention before it ever became a DVD, before it ever became a VHS. It was
Mhm.
already an incorporated company that traveled around America and outside of America as a dance convention. And so I just thought it was time to tell my story with so many years later. And, music has changed, dance has changed. And I thought it was time to kind of celebrate the pop culture of then, but also something that we could hold on and celebrate now.
Yes. Yes, definitely. Because I mean, what you did and what you represent, it hadn't been done before. Like we didn't see that. We didn't see a black man having the whole world want to learn his routines. And what I find interesting is that you didn't have professional training as a dancer. I didn't know that until I was like when going back and watching it, it says it used to say it in your commercial that you started as a break dancer in the Bronx.
Yes.
And so, how did you learn how to craft such clean routines that, like the professionalism that comes from that? Typically, somebody would have had some training. How did you get to where you got?
Well, practice makes better, right? It's never going to be
Mhm.
perfect, but it will always get better. And one of the things, that I had the opportunity to work towards and from was all of the amazing work that was done before I was able to do mine. So I had all the MGM musicals. I had Jerome Robbins. I had the Jacksons. I had the Nicholas brothers. I had Gene Kelly, Fred Astaire. I had James Brown. I had movies like Saturday Night Fever, all to learn from. I had, Seven Brides for Seven Brothers. I had The Wizard of Oz to learn from. And, that's something to be said about studying the greats.
Mhm.
And, all of the amazing performers that I had the opportunity to study from. And I think now that that quality is really why it was time for me to do the Untold Darrin Henson story, to let these people, the youth, the young ones that are coming up now,
Right.
know that they can study from what was done before and get some of that quality work back in, get some of that feeling back in, get some of
Right.
the essence of the Hollywood musical back into the work, and really get back to big performances, which
Yeah.
I think that we're missing today.
Yeah, definitely with social media and TikTok now it's just a lot of hand movement in this that can fit in this rectangle box.
Yeah,
Um versus like the moves,
truth.
the moves that, you and others before you had us doing. So, of all of your dance routines, which one do you get asked about the most?
I think ones that are celebrated the most are Bye Bye Bye, number one. Uh, you Drive Me Crazy. Jordan Knight's Give It to You. So and J Lo's Love Don't Cost a Thing. I think those are the top four.
Yeah, I think so too. And what were some of the your favorite dances that you choreographed?
I think those are absolutely some of my favorites, but they all are. They're all my babies.
Yeah,
Enrique Iglesias is Bailamos. Is such a great video to watch, performance video. I love that video, and of course, watching Bye 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 never gets old. Love Don't Cost a Thing never gets old. You Drive Me Crazy never gets old. Genie in a Bottle never gets old. So I think some of these are some of the well loved videos, but I mean, there's so many,
right.
and I celebrate them all. They're all like my
Yeah.
children, right? We love them
Yes,
equally.
exactly. They're worth celebrating. And who were some of your favorite artists to work with at that time?
Um, Definitely the ones that I mentioned, but along, of course, I can't go without saying Deborah Cox. I can't go without saying Drew Hill. I did a wonderful video for Drew Hill called "You Are Everything," the remix, which looks like a Matrix video. That was at the time the
Oh,
Matrix was out, and we did a video that kind of celebrated that Matrix look, with the suspension in the air and the slow movement. I look like Neo right now.
yeah.
So, um, more like Morpheus, right?
Mm,
But I mean, these videos we celebrate. My first MTV Award nomination was for Jordan Knight to Give It to You. And then, of course, I won the MTV Music Award for Bye 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 after that, the year after that. But I celebrate it all. I love dance. I'm looking to get back on the road in the summertime doing the Darren's Dance Crews dance conventions once again because people have asked me to do it so much. So we're going to get back on the road. And I'm excited for the world to celebrate dance again and music again. And we have so many wonderful artists in the documentary. We have Deborah Cox, we have Britney Spears, we have NSYNC, we have Xscape, we have J Lo, Enrique Iglesias. I mean, there's so many.
right.
Prince, George Michael, Michael Jackson. There's just
And
so many.
there were so many people you worked with. You even just name dropped Michael Jackson, Prince. Was there anyone that you didn't get a chance to work with that you wanted to?
I talk about it in the documentary, but there's some information, about Madonna. But I'll leave that for the
Yeah.
documentary for people to find out about what happened there.
Oh yeah. And so now like looking back at the being able to watch the documentary that's about to come out, you're getting back on the road, bringing back your convention that you started over 20 years ago. How do you feel about your legacy in dance and as a choreographer?
I'm very happy with it. I'm very grateful for having it. I feel complete. I don't feel like there's anything that I haven't done. And I forgot to mention the Spice Girls. They're in the documentary as well.
Wow.
So I mean, I haven't. Um, I'm satisfied. I'm very very satisfied with my legacy and what I left for the next generation. I'm excited to introduce in new projects that I have the new generation. And things that I have coming up that introduces the new generation. I'm excited to showcase their work and the creativity that they have because we have some amazing dancers and choreographies that is being created right now through the choreographers, and I'm excited to introduce the next.
Yeah, and you're the one to do it. I also saw that your DVD, it's still on Amazon, like it's still being sold,
Oh yeah.
and so you're still bringing in the bag from Darren's Dance Grooves DVDs.
Oh, the bag has never stopped. The bag has never stopped. One of the things that is really wonderful is called residual income. And I created it. I own it. I own the name, and so it's ownership is wonderful, and there's something that we must know, and there's
Yes,
something about it that we must learn if we don't know. Ownership is always the key. And
yes,
so clearly in Black enterprise, this is something that we talk about. I've spoken for Black enterprise many times, and you know this is something that I think that is a necessity. Each one teach one, we can reach one.
mhm.
Own your rights, own your masters. Ownership is always going to be the master key that unlocks the door to your financial success.
Yes, most definitely. And now you had a successful transition into acting. Um, was it always something that you wanted to pursue?
Well, no, acting was not, and actually, I stumbled on acting when I was very young. I was 21. I was actually on Broadway. I performed on Broadway as an actor, and when that show closed down, which was Stand Up Tragedy, the show, when that show closed down, I immediately went back to dancing choreography because I wanted to fulfill my dream, my vision of what I desired for myself in dance, in choreography, as a performer. But after I completed that tenure as a dancer and a choreographer, then I said, well, what's next? And acting was it's all about being a triple threat, right? So
Yeah.
I went into acting, and I was blessed with the television series, immediately, the Soul Food television series that originally played on the Showtime network.
Yes. And were you ever, because this was happening simultaneously, you were on Soul Food the year 2000, and NSYNC is lit, Britney's lit, you making up the dances. Were you ever juggling your acting and your career as a choreographer at the same time?
Well, my ego didn't let me. And I learned a great deal from that. Meaning, I had created such a legacy through dance, and when I felt like I was satisfied, and I wasn't completely satisfied because I had not yet won the MTV Music Award. Um, I think that my disappointment of not winning for "Give It to You" was frustrating. And so I said, you know what, forget it. I'm going to act now. I worked with everybody I wanted to work with. And I started acting. I was on Soul Food, and I was like, I'm done. And, you know, there was a manager at that time, Johnny Wright, who managed NSYNC, who said, Darrin, the guys need you again. And, I really owe a lot of that to Johnny because Johnny convinced me to come back and actually do Bye Bye Bye, which
Mm,
afforded me the opportunity to win the MTV Music Award. So
yeah.
Johnny convinced me to get back in the studio, put back on my dancing shoes, which I had hung up, and I was like, I'm done. And Johnny said, no, 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 we need you to do this. The guys want you to do this.
Yeah.
And because of that, I was able to say I am an MTV Music
Yeah.
Award choreography winner. So I owe a lot to Johnny Wright for convincing me to come back and actually do that.
And then also you're a part of the Soul Food Legacy. The film is going on its 25-year anniversary.
Mhm.
The show came out shortly after. What do you think? Like, what are your thoughts on a remake or a reboot of the film
I
or the
I'm
series?
I'm all for it. Like I'm always ready to put back on Lem Van Adam's shoes. And I think that the cast is ready as well, and we want to do it. I think the powers that be have to come together
Yes.
and make it happen. But the fans want to see the show with the TV cast. They don't want a reboot of new actors. They
Yeah.
want the actors that were
Like an
kind of like the
update.
best, yeah, kind of like the best man.
Right.
They
Yes.
want the updated version of
Yes.
where the soul food characters are, today. So
Yes.
hopefully that's going to happen. We're going to put that out in the universe.
Yes, let's put that out there because that the best man, it was very well received. And again, like this is a cult classic story that within the Black community, like we are invested in these characters. So yeah, we
Yeah.
would want to see what these characters are up to today.
Today, absolutely.
And then in addition, you teased it, but I'm really excited. I hear that you're developing a new show about choreographers. Like, what can
I
you
am.
tease about that? Because that sounds
I
like it's going to be dope.
Yeah, I can't talk about it before the world knows about it, but what I can tell you, it's amazing, it's creative, it's filled with dance, it's filled with music, and the world is going to love it, and we celebrate, as I said, all the creativity of all these new choreographers just in a completely different way. So I'm really incredibly excited about this show that I've created that we're going to introduce to the world very, very soon.
I'm excited as well. I'm really excited to see this documentary because I know it's going to take me back and it's also going to be educational and insightful as it relates to just the history of dance. And your story. There's so much that we just, didn't know, and it'll just give us a newfound respect for your legacy and what you've contributed to the culture. And thank you. I'm just, again, I'm really happy to be able to speak to you because I've been a fan since I was 12.
I appreciate you so much. Thank you. And I'm really inspired through everything that I'm seeing now with dance, and I just wanted to celebrate it in a much bigger way. And what better way to celebrate it than to tie all of the genres, all of the dance legends together, and to show that I do stand on the shoulders of giants. And on April 20th on the All Black Network, we get to see that.
The one and only Darrin Henson. Thank you.
Thank you so much, and I'm so grateful to you and Black Enterprise for this interview. Thank you so much.
Thank you.